Welcome to this week's episode of the Gaming Coffee Club podcast. Happy New Year, people. Depending on when you're watching this, it's very likely it will be 2026. Hope you all have a healthy, happy, awesome new year. And everyone, let's just smash 2026. Make it the best year yet. Tons of fun, tons of laugh, tons of love, tons of video games. And we've still got our awesome mugs available for you all to purchase. So make 2026 the year you pick up one of these bad boys so you can sit, chill, have a nice coffee with me every week on the Gaming Coffee Club. We have got a lot of cool news to talk about today. What is on the show notes? Well, a few big ones. We have got the most expensive remote play device ever, which is being released from Sony, and I mean ever. Talking nearly 100,000. Yes, very expensive. We've got news on PlayStation 6, which is not really good news. We've got a little bit of news about exclusives and some PS Plus important news. Now, let's get straight into it by jumping into the first story in your weekly chilled out PlayStation news podcast. So if you love your PlayStation Portal and want to take it to the next level, Sony and Honda have got you covered, as the electric car from Honda and Sony will be the most expensive PlayStation 5 in the world. The PlayStation Portal, but at $90,000. Yes, we're over on a French website here called Numerama, and I thought this story was great. We just had to start the podcast with this and pick this one up. And basically, you're going to be able to stream your PS4 and PS5 games straight into this electric car. It does look quite cool. I'm not so sure how I feel about the actual car itself, how it looks. There's two models. There's Signature and Origin. Signature starts at $102,900. And the cheap one, buy two of them, why not? Starts at $89,900. And it only comes in one colour, black. That is the cheap model. The dearer model gives you a few extra options. But when we go into the interior, we can see there's lots of screens here. Plenty of screens to be playing your PlayStation on. I mean, what is the aspect ratio of this screen? It is wild. It looks very futuristic. And, I like Sony products. I think they always make amazing products, amazing hardware. So fingers crossed the car's the same thing. Also Honda, power your dreams. Always loved, Honda Civic Type R's and stuff like that. Great engineering company as well. Remember they had the wee robot Asimo that walked about. They've now tested reusable rockets recently. They're doing really good. So a really good pairing of two awesome Japanese companies. However, when it comes to cars, I do not like this movement towards pretty much no buttons and everything being on screen. It looks like there's one or two buttons on the steering wheel and a little bit in the dashboard. They look like those capacitive touch ones, which no, just give us physical buttons and dials for controlling stuff in the car. And they did give us a little trailer to see what it would look like if you're playing your PlayStation in this car and in the back. So let's have a look at that right now. Creative entertainment space. Intuitive UI and stunning visualization. Did anyone notice there the remote play app for PlayStation? I noticed that there. And look at this for navigation. It looks so unnecessary the way they've visualized that. You can just see a little bit of the road because it's such a long aspect ratio. This is like a super widescreen panel here. Looks like you'll be able to connect up to your Sony Pictures as well, which would be cool. Sony Pictures Core. PlayStation, please give us that on the portal. That'd be nice. And then Astrobot streaming to the TVs in the back seat, which is really cool, actually. I do like that. They look like they're maybe like 16 or 18-inch monitors just attached to the back of the seats. And I assume this comes as standard, which is very cool. And that's where you'll be able to play your PlayStation Remote Play, pick up your DualSense, and you will be jamming. But what do people think about this? Is this something that people think is cool? I guess it's cool if you've got kids, they can play games in the back. If you're driving the car and you want to be driving the car, it's not really good for you. The actual vehicle itself, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Looks-wise, it looks a bit meh. I think a lot of electric cars look meh. They have no character. They look kind of like soulless tins of metal on four wheels. So I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think they could do much better. We've seen way cooler cars. Honda, NSX, anyone? Something like that would be cool. Give us that with PlayStation Remote Play in it. And call me interested. Ghost of Tsushima there on your dashboard. You can customize your dials. So your speedometer is like Fortnite or Ghost of Tsushima or anything like that, which is quite a cool touch. But $90,000 for this thing, starting price. Damn. Cars are getting really expensive, people. How do we feel about this? Do people think these things are cool? Or would you just rather a car that looks better with a normal combustion engine and, you know, more dials and stuff like that instead of this super kind of futuristic way? I guess this would be really cool if it drove you places, you know, like fully autonomous. That would be cool to then, you know, you could go out for dinner, have a few drinks, and then the way back, play Gran Turismo in your car as your car drives you home. That would be pretty cool. Maybe that's just me that thinks that, but let me know what game you'd be playing in this car if you had one yourself. Now we're over at Game Rant, and there's more bad news about potential prices for the PlayStation 6. And obviously, a lot of this is speculation. We don't know what this thing is going to cost. However, the way things are going in the gaming world right now, and particularly thanks to AI and tariffs, it is not looking very good. They've made a few assumptions here. So they've spoke about what's happened historically with the PS5. So it launched at $499 in the US. And then August 2025, it went up to $549 or $550. PS5 Pro started at $699 and went up to $750, which is wild. That is without the disc drive as well. Add in the disc drive and you're over $800 for the PS5 Pro. So this has got everyone thinking that the PlayStation 6 is likely going to cost more than the PS5 Pro. So $700 for your base model PS6. What do people think about that? Would you be willing to part with that amount of cash for something which, let's be honest, we've seen it since the PS4 generation, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, PS5 Pro. The jump in like visuals and performance is really incremental. There has been no jump which has been like going from the PS1 to the PS2 or the PS2 to the PS3 where you're like, wow, that is just mind-boggling. Here's my money. Give me that console right now. And I think the whole cross-gen period is going to last even longer now. PS5 Pro will probably be supported well into the future alongside the PS6, unless something massively changes, which I'm not aware about. But the PS4 is still being supported right now and getting games launching on it. And the PS5 has already been out for 5 years, so we're more than halfway through the life cycle. However, that might change because some of these release dates may slip, which we'll talk about later on in the show. So a recent leak suggests that the PS6 will be more affordable than the PS5 Pro. The cheaper cost and better performance are said to be down to the AMD RDNA 5 GPU, which is on par with RTX 4080 graphics card that PC users will know about. So if it's on par with an RTX 4080, that is a powerful bit of kit. That will be awesome. There'll be some great visuals there. In my PC right now, I've got an RTX 3080. And it's still awesome. I have not really got any interest in upgrading it, especially right now with the price of the RTX 50 series, which are just wild. There's rumors going about as well that in early 2026, NVIDIA and AMD are going to massively raise the prices of their GPUs. I hope it's not true because I just don't know where they think people are getting the money from for these things. People's salary increases is not keeping up with the price increases in everything else in people's lives. So it's just getting out of hand. AMD is raising a lot of its prices. Whether this could impact Sony's work on the PS6 and its overall price remains to be seen. As we know, Sony and AMD have a big partnership. They are working on the hardware for the PlayStation 6 consoles together. They were also working on the PS5 Pro and the PS5. It's AMD GPU that's in there and AMD CPU that's in there. And this is just more bad news for the gaming world. What would you be willing to pay for a PlayStation 6? I was hoping that it would come in max $600. Now I think wishful thinking and a bonus would be if it comes in at the same price as the PS5 Pro. And I think they will also do what they've done with the PS5 Pro. I think they'll launch it at that price. So say it's $699 or £699, and it will not come with a disk drive. That will be an added extra for you to buy. So the price will actually be more, but that's how they'll sell it. So it doesn't seem as expensive. Sound off in the comments what you think is going to happen with the PS6 price and what is the most you'd be willing to pay, or are you just happy with your PlayStation 5 right now? Now we're over at VGC charts for a really interesting stat, and that is that the PlayStation 5 has outsold Xbox. Yes, the Xbox 360 that is, which in my opinion is the best Xbox of all time. They have had such a fall off since the 360. I actually got a 360 before my PS3 because the 360 was a lot cheaper and it launched about a year before the PS3, I think. I might be wrong if it was that long before, but it definitely launched before it. So I got my hands on that first, and then later on in that generation, I got the PS3. But wow, it is now past that. And this is a big milestone because the PS5 has sold an estimated 86.12 million units worldwide through November, while the Xbox 360 sold 85.73 million units in its lifetime. Wow. So up next, the PS5 is targeting the PS3, which has 87.4 million units sold in its lifetime. And then it's the Wii, which has 101.63 million units. The Nintendo Wii was like an absolute phenom. Like, it came out, it was so different, so weird and wonderful, and it actually was a beautiful thing that it got everyone playing video games. Like, literally, your grandparents, your parents, even if they went into games, everyone picked up the Wiimote and played some Wii Sports. It was honestly just a magical time in gaming. And then we've got the next target will be the original PlayStation with 102.49 million units sold. That is absolutely wild numbers. But I think the PS5 is well on track to bust through 100 million in no time. I mean, I would say probably after Christmas and December is out of the way. Early January, maybe we'll get an update. Surely it sold more than 4 million units. That's pushing it over 90 million units sold. People say the console market is in trouble. I don't agree. I think it's doing just fine. So 90 million units, that's great. Xbox is definitely struggling, but that's, I think, of their own doing. 90 million units is the next milestone for the PS5. Do you have a PS5 or are you thinking about picking one up? I know a lot of you that listen and watch have a Portal only for playing your games. Has getting the Portal maybe made you think about picking up a PS5 as well? I think it's quite a good upgrade path, getting the Portal, then getting a PS5 as well, or a PS5 Pro. Just all works so well together. Our next news story comes from Vice, and loads of outlets are reporting on this, and I think this may very well happen, but I also don't think it's the worst thing. But the PS6 release date could be delayed due to RAM shortages, a new report is claiming. So we had a whole bunch of speculation that, since DDR5 memory has just went through the roof in price due to AI companies literally buying up all of this piece of hardware, that it's going to impact pretty much every other consumer electronic, including games consoles. And Insider Gaming has basically corroborated that Sony could push back the PS6 and the launch plans as a result of this hardware crisis. And they've went on and said, from what we understand, the situation has led console manufacturers to debate whether the next generation of consoles should be delayed from their intended 2027-2028 release window, with the hope that RAM manufacturers will be able to build out their infrastructure to produce more RAM, thereby allowing prices to drop. This is really interesting because leaks have claimed that Sony had plans to manufacture the PS6 in 2027 with a possible launch in November of that year, making the situation more tense. Micron announced that they're exiting the consumer market. So they are one of the biggest manufacturers of RAM and memory. So this is huge. They're basically just going to sell directly to these massive companies that are making all these AI data centers and things like that. And then we've got Moore's Law is Dead has addressed the potential of a PS6 delay in a recent December podcast episode, where the insider believes it's too soon to predict whether the RAM shortage will extend into 2027. And they said the documents I've seen behind the scenes say the PS6 is supposed to be manufactured in mid 2027. Based on that, we really don't know if it will be affected yet. And then Moore's Law is Dead pointed out that the industry is expanding fast as possible to create more RAM. There's more RAM coming. They're building out as much as possible. There will be new tech that makes it easier. It's kind of an unsatisfying answer for gamers short term. Everyone is doing everything they can, and there is just going to be a shortage in 2026. So it's looking like next year's not going to be too hot for RAM or buying consumer electronics. Hopefully it tails off in 2027, and then maybe the PS6 arrives as planned in November 2027. The bit I found really interesting about this article was that PlayStation players actually welcomed the news of a PS6 delay. And on Reddit, they've said this generation of consoles still has lots to give. I can't imagine any games releasing now are really struggling to work with their current tech either, a user on Reddit wrote. For example, another commenter agreed, that's fine. Don't really need new consoles just yet. And one commented simply, sounds great to me. That doesn't bother me either. I do feel like the PlayStation 5 generation has plenty more to give, especially with the PS5 Pro out there. PS6, do we need one so soon? Would it be that bad if it was delayed, given how expensive everything is getting? Let's get more out of our PS5s, more bang for our buck. Would you be upset if the PS6 was delayed? The only thing that I guess would upset me a little bit about this is the rumoured PS6 handheld, because I would really like to get my hands on that, a dedicated PlayStation handheld. Sounds awesome, and with the success of the Portal, which I think has helped shape Sony's ideas on this, by them now thinking, yes, there is demand for a handheld, I think that could be awesome, and I'd really like to see what Sony come up with, because their hardware is always top notch. That would be a bit of a bummer if that was delayed. The actual home console, I'm not as fussed about. What do you think? PS6 delay, are you happy about that? Do you not care? Are you cool with your PS5 and your Portal until this new PS6 arrives, whenever it does? Maybe if it was delayed, say 2029, 2030, would you be cool with that? Sound off in the comments. Now we've got our Gaming Coffee Club question of the week, which was actually posted 3 weeks ago because I forgot to include it in last week's episode. But we're back, we're here, and it was, which dead racing franchise would you love to see return to PlayStation with a new game? Leave your comments under the poll too. The best ones will be featured in this week's podcast, and I'll share my thoughts. So we had 4 which I picked, and we've got a new Wipeout which had 15%. I'm surprised. I thought a lot more of you would go for Wipeout. Maybe I just love Wipeout a lot more than everyone else. Who knows? New Burnout is the leader with 44%. I do get this. Burnout was so much fun. I can't believe it's just kind of been abandoned. I would love to see a new Burnout game. I think it would do really, really well. I just think the market is rife for a lot of these kind of games, which are a bit smaller, could be developed on, a lesser budget compared to some of these massive games which take like 5 years to make. We've now got a new Ridge Racer, which was, you could say, joint last or joint third with Wipeout, which is a shame. Wipeout and Ridge Racer were just iconic on the PS1. Maybe that's why I gravitate towards them, because as a young kid, I was playing these on my PlayStation. Well, I played Ridge Racer on PlayStation. I played Wipeout 2097. It was the demo in particular I played over and over on PlayStation. But the actual first Wipeout game, I had that on PC. That and Destruction Derby were both on PC, and that's where I played them, and they were just freaking awesome. And then in second place, we've got a new MotorStorm. Again, that is, I mean, that in particular, that's a Sony franchise which has just been forgotten about. That'd be perfect. A new MotorStorm 2026. I would love to see that. And let's see what some of the comments said here. We have got no Twisted Metal with today's gaming engines alone would make this game a hit. Twisted Metal would be really good. Again, similar type game. I'd love to see a new Carmageddon. Heck yeah. I think there is a new Carmageddon in the works. I need to check that, but I'm pretty sure there is. A new Burnout with the crash side mode would go hard with current tech physics stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. Consortium. Burnout 2 and 3 was so much fun. It was absolutely amazing. Juiced. Jeez, I need to like these comments. Forgot all about Juiced. That's a shout. Yeah, that was classic back in the day. And then we've got Greg as well here saying, I put a lot of hours into Ridge Racer on my PS1 as a kid. That'd be fun to see a reboot just for nostalgic purposes. Even just imagine a Ridge Racer 1 like remake or remaster where they polished up in Unreal Engine 5 or something. That would be amazing. And then we've got Chris Jackson here with a classic Porsche Challenge. I can visually picture that box. It had like a Porsche Boxster or something on it, didn't it? And then the white background. Classic game. Very, very cool. What would I like to see returning? I've already mentioned it, and it was, I guess it is a racing game. The original one was anyway. It had a fair bit of that along with the Destruction Derby mode. I would love a new Destruction Derby. I think that would be so much fun. Carmageddon, like I said, out of these ones, I mean, Wipeout, sign me up for a new Wipeout. I would love that. They could do something really special with the visuals nowadays. And imagine if they did like a PSVR version or PSVR 2 version of Wipeout. That's the sort of thing that would maybe get me over feeling sick playing VR, and I would actually buy one of them. A new Ridge Racer, I would love it. I would just love to see a new Ridge Racer or Ridge Racer Revolution. Give us like a remaster or remake of them. Ones that I've not included in this list, I would love to see a new like version of Sega Rally 2, Daytona USA. You could play Daytona USA on the PlayStation streaming service, PlayStation Now, before it became, the tiered version of PS Plus we have now. You could stream that. It was a PS3 game. You could just stream it straight from the cloud. You could download it as well, I think. Maybe I'm talking rubbish, but you could stream it. And now you just can't. It's just disappeared. I guess it must be licensing or something. But there's so many fun. In particular, these are all like kind of arcade racing games that I've kind of leaned into here, and I'd love to see some more arcade racing. I do think the gaming world is just ripe now for a whole bunch of arcade type games to come in, especially with all the budgetary constraints, development costs getting out of control. Much more smaller, tightly focused, packaged up fun arcade games, which you could sell, for $30-$40 or something instead of a $70 or $80 game. That would be amazing. I mean, some of the indie games you see as well nowadays, they're up for $15, £15, and they're just awesome. I would love to see that. Sign me up for any of these games. Any of the games on this list I would take. That's why I picked them, because I love them all. Burnout as well would be amazing. MotorStorm, so freaking good. I actually need to check out maybe emulating some of these and doing a video on that on the channel. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, and I will definitely look into it. And keep your eyes peeled, because next week's Gaming Coffee Club question will be going up on the posts tab on YouTube very, very soon. Now we've got a lot of the hardware news out of the way, let's talk about some games. And first off, it is Anthem, which was going to be the next big thing when it launched all those years ago. Sci-fi action RPG, and Polygon are now reporting that Anthem officially dies in 2 weeks. So now's your last chance to play. I've actually still not played this game. I think I will need to jump in within the next 2 weeks just so I have a reference point and can talk about it. I actually think it looks pretty fun still. It says here it was developed and released during a time when always online games was quite a fad. As such, when games like Anthem and Ubisoft's The Crew had their servers shut down and adios for the game. They're rendered unplayable. Offline modes for games like these is something game preservationists like Stop Killing Games movement have been fighting for. That's why that stuff like that is so important. You buy this game and then they pull the plug on it in servers and you can't play it. There should be an offline mode. You can still kick about and explore this and fight against, NPCs and stuff like this. If it just becomes like a PvE game, that would be cool. So that is kind of annoying. The looter shooter was a step away from what developer BioWare was typically known for, single player character focused RPGs, and in retrospect was a major misstep. Anthem launched to a rather mixed reception, with Polygon's review at the time remarking that its collision of ideas didn't work. After a rough launch, BioWare set out to work on a major redesign of the game, Anthem Next, but that was cancelled in 2021. I remember the news about Anthem Next, like this was going to be built, rebuilt from the ground up the way it was meant to be, and then no. And it's a shame because think about the other stuff they've done, like Mass Effect. It's just bizarre. In the years since, BioWare has released Mass Effect Legendary Edition, a remaster of the original Mass Effect trilogy, and Dragon Age The Veilguard, which didn't end up selling up to EA's expectations. Next in the pipeline for the studio is the next Mass Effect entry, oh that's cool, which is currently without a release window or any official plot details. So if you have Anthem sitting in your library, now's the time to finally install it and see what it's all about. What's your thoughts on Anthem, people? Did any of you pick this up? Have any of you played it? I think I do have this. I may have this as part of EA Play with Game Pass. So I will jump in and check this out on my Xbox before it disappears. I'm going to install it tonight so I don't forget. Anthem, yay or nay? What do you think about it? Is this one of these games which did actually suck, or was it just, unfairly treated? You do see that sometimes where a game just gets into a doom loop. So let me know. Or are you going to check out Anthem before it does disappear in the next 2 weeks? That would be cool to know as well. Yeah, I'm actually excited to jump in and check it out. Okay, now we've got some news about a demo of a PS1 game which is getting a remake, and it is the classic Front Mission 3, which is now available to download and play on the PlayStation Store. Gives you just about a month to jump in and get a feel for this Squaresoft strategy game ahead of its full release on the 30th of January. Now, I saw this news and I was like, I don't know what this game is. I've never heard of this game. However, looking at the trailer on YouTube and seeing a lot of the comments under it, a lot of people have a lot of love for this. And if you're wondering what this game is all about, it is described as the tactical RPG classic returns. Front Mission 3 Remake is the third chapter in the iconic series beloved by fans worldwide. Step into the role of Kazuki and Ryogo as tensions rise across volatile military zones. With the fate of the region hanging in the balance, command towering Wanzers and lead your squad through intense turn-based battles. Wow. So the first two remakes are actually already available in the PS Store. If you're a big fan, you probably already know that. So this will be the last piece of the puzzle in the PS1 trilogy. But I do like this trend we're getting where more and more games are getting demos to check out before you decide to part with, your money from your wallet. I really like this. More demos, the better. So will you be checking this PS5 demo out on your console, or do you have no interest in this game? Let me know if you played this back in the day. I'm always interested to hear what PS1 games people were playing originally way back in the 90s. James Bond is shaken and stirred. Eurogamer is reporting as the James Bond game 007 First Light has been delayed. What a shame. But you'd rather they did that and got a good game out first time than releasing something broken and then patching it and fixing forward, which you see so many studios do, which I just hate. And we have basically got a quote from their CEO saying 007 First Light is our most ambitious project to date, and the team has been fully focused on delivering an unforgettable James Bond experience, bringing together breathtaking action, globe-trotting, spycraft, gadgets, car chases, and more. As an independent developer and publisher, this decision allows us to ensure the experience meets the level of quality you players deserve on day one. Hear, hear. I like that. Sounds good. They went on, the game is progressing well and is fully playable from beginning to end, so these additional 2 months will allow us to further polish and refine the experience, ensuring we deliver the strongest possible version at launch. We're confident this sets 007 First Light up for long-term success, and we sincerely appreciate the patience and continued support we've received ever since we revealed the game. Very cool. I'm excited to see what James Bond has in store for us. This game does look a lot of fun. It looks a lot more fun than the Hitman games, in my opinion. So I'm excited to check this one out from IOI as soon as it drops in May 2026. So we've got about 5 months until we can all be James Bond and cruise around in Aston Martins and be shaken and stirred. Now we've got a fun bit of news here on GTA, that GTA Tokyo almost actually happened, according to VGC. And I think this would be amazing. Imagine Grand Theft Auto set in Tokyo. So it says here, a Grand Theft Auto game set in Tokyo, Japan nearly came to fruition, according to a former Rockstar North employee. Obi Vermege, the technical director of GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, and GTA 4, shared the insight in an interview with Games Hub. According to the Rockstar veteran, GTA Tokyo would have been developed by an external studio based in Japan using Rockstar's game code. However, the proposal fell apart for unknown reasons, and the franchise stuck to its US-based setting. He said there were desires to take the series outside the US, but it's like talking about alternative projects at Rockstar when you really start thinking about it. He said, we had ideas about GTA games in Rio de Janeiro, Moscow, and Istanbul. Tokyo almost actually happened. Another studio in Japan were going to do it, take our code and do GTA Tokyo, but then it didn't happen in the end. Vermege said that the increasing development time required to make games of GTA's huge scale, plus its association with satirical US cities, meant the series is unlikely to explore global cities again in the future. He said, it's not realistic. I would love it. And if games still took a year to make, then yeah, sure, you can have a little fun, but you're not going to get that when there's a GTA every 12 years. You're not going to set it in a new location. You don't really need to either, because the technology changes so much. Nobody is going to say that they're not going to play GTA 6 because they've already played Vice City. That doesn't make sense. It's completely different. Wow. Yeah, that is such a shame. He's went on and said they'll revisit New York again, they'll go back to LA and maybe Las Vegas. I'm afraid we're stuck in this loop of about 5 American cities. Let's just get used to it. Imagine GTA Tokyo. I would have loved that. I just think it would be perfect. Tie that in with all the Yakuza type stuff. You know, the neon soaked city of Tokyo would just look incredible. Which city would you like to see GTA go to? I'd like to see GTA Tokyo. I think that would be cool. Yeah, that probably would be my pick if I'm going to be honest. Maybe as well GTA Dubai could be cool. What other ones? GTA. I mean, you could surely do a smaller one if you do GTA Monaco. I mean, Monaco's tiny. You don't need to make a big place. It could just be a really, really small island to speed up the development a little bit. Something cool like that. But yeah, that's a shame. GTA Tokyo. I wonder who it was in Japan they were going to get to develop it. I wonder if it was one of, Sega studios. That might have been quite a nice fit, given, like you've seen the Shenmue games and the Yakuza games. I think that could work quite well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you be interested in visiting GTA Tokyo? Now we also have our PlayStation Plus Essential games for January 2026 have been announced by Sony, and it's not a very good selection. We have got Need for Speed Unbound, which I'm pretty sure was on PlayStation Plus Extra, and like a few months ago, it definitely was. So I find that disappointing when you have a game that's already in one tier, and then I now know I guess you can download it and it's your game. However, it's good when you get something fresh and new. Disney's Epic Mickey rebrushed. Like, what is this? It's a vibrant 3D platformer. I just don't like Disney and I don't like Mickey Mouse. So I'm just kind of like, oh, who cares? Like, what? And then we have Core Keeper. So what is this? Awaken and explore in a long-forgotten cavern teeming with untold secrets. This award-winning 1 to 8 player mining sandbox adventure. Your choices shape an epic adventure. Harvest relics and resources, craft advanced tools, build your base, and explore a dynamically evolving world waiting to be unearthed. Level up your skills, defeat legendary titans, and unveil the power of the core. Grow your garden, fish in mysterious waters, master a vast array of recipes, raise and care for animals. This sounds kind of like Minecraft. It is what it is. And then December's games are still up for you to claim, which actually is a far better batch than January. So make sure you pick them up, because on January the 5th, they will disappear. So that's Monday, January the 5th. You've got to get December's games, and all of these games, Need for Speed Unbound, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, and Core Keeper, will be available on January the 6th. What do you think about this? Are you happy about this? Is this a good month? Is it a garbage month? Will you be playing any of these? The only one which interests me remotely, and I will probably check out, but I think I've already played it, they all kind of blur together now. The Need for Speed games for me. Need for Speed Unbound is the only one which interests me in January. So there we have it, people. Episode number 11 is in the books. I hope you all had an awesome Christmas. I hope you got lots of games for your Christmas. Let me know if you got any good games for your PlayStation or your Xbox, your Switch, your PC, anything like that. Let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for good game recommendations. And again, have a happy new year. Thank you all for the amazing support this year on the channel and on the podcast. It has been incredible. We're just getting started. Let's make 2026 a banger. Thank you very much. Have an awesome one, and we'll see you next week for more chilled out, caffeinated gaming news on the Gaming Coffee Club.